Penguin, episode 5.
Not what I expected to kind of...
No.
We were concerned with... Well, we were intrigued to see how Penguin was going to spin his way out of this.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting him to kind of start going full savage mode with the burning of a certain son and mother.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit... Oh, Penguin will do some real bad shit.
Yeah, well, in the week, you sent me the TikTok, didn't you, of that interview from Colin Farrell. And he was saying, I think it'll be hard for anyone to like Penguin by the end of all 8 episodes. And we were like, what does he mean, though? I think we're starting to see what he means.
Yeah, and I've got a feeling he might go after another fan favourite character or two as well, which will really put him in some deep doo-doo with fans. But it's phenomenal TV. It's so well written. It's so well thought out.
It's great, like, because obviously we both loved the Batman film.
Yes.
And we loved how it was shot, how it was produced. We loved the world that Matt Reeves had built. Might not be everyone's favourite Batman and Batman world, but that world was so well made.
Yeah, it worked for what it was being used for.
Yeah. This show, they've taken that and run with that world.
Absolutely.
And they've found exactly how to make a Penguin work in this world that they've built, and then nailing it. It's honestly, I mean, in my opinion, the best DC TV show we've had in a
long time.
Yeah.
I think while a very different show, Smallville is crucially important to superhero TV, but definitely for in the modern era, this is heads and tails above everything else. It's one of the big perks of HBO caliber TV being available to DC.
Yeah.
I think we're kind of getting to a point with this show where we're starting to see that turn of Penguin where he realizes that he's not quite ready to make the move. So he was playing both sides. He was playing 3 sides for like the first 3 episodes, where it's like the Maronis, the Falcons, and himself. And he it all went a bit wrong, but it's ironically, despite being called the Penguin, he's a bit like a cat. He always lands on his feet. So he's like, right, how are we going to get out of this? He because of the way he's done business, he does have loyal guys. So he's got enough manpower to try and make something work.
Yeah.
As far as he knows, Sophia's not a problem yet. She's going to be, but she's not got enough power to be a problem yet, as far as he knows. So he's like trying to make things happen. But it's incredibly interesting to see the journey that Sophia and Oz go on in this episode of consolidating power, and all of a sudden it goes from being a Maroni and Falcone crime war to being like Oz versus the Giamattis. Oh, what was it? Was it Giamattis? Gigantos? Yeah. Like, it's so funny how that's flipped. And again, it's setting us up in this position for it to end with Oz consolidating all the power in Gotham.
So, the name change that Sophia's taken, is that an important name change, or is that...
Not as far as I know. The Falcons have always been the crime family. As far as I know, that isn't like a big wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Right, you know what's coming. To the best of my knowledge, I'm not a Gotham crime family historian.
Okay. But yeah, this whole... It's funny because it's like, from our perspective watching it, we've obviously seen him juggling and kind of playing both sides, was playing them against each other, seemingly was in some level of control of the situation, was kind of getting away with it. But as everyone knows in these things, it will catch up to you. But rather than it sort of catching up to him and it being the end of Oz, like, he kind of... Well, it's catching up to me, so I'm going to jump in the deep end over here instead and just keep, like, I'm just going to run a bit quicker. And it's like, he turns it, thinks, okay, Sophia's handled the Falcons for me. cool. I don't have to worry about that now. So that means I can go after the Maronis because there's not, like, I can play off this,
Yeah,
not knowing that
absolutely.
that's actually gone wrong. He like
It's
he like makes a move because he thinks, oh shit, but he's like getting caught up. So he's like, well, I'll make a move to get ahead, but he kind of half makes the move successfully, which then leaves him in an open position to get caught up again.
he's very much stuck in a reactive loop right now,
Yes.
while everyone else is doing stuff, which just means he's constantly having to react to shit. Which, if it wasn't for like the deep crime drama they're going for, would almost be sitcom levels of fuck, this is going wrong and this is going wrong and this is going
Yeah, I know
wrong.
what you mean. Yeah. You could
Um,
definitely twist this into like a funny
oh,
sitcom-esque.
absolutely.
Uh,
What I'm really curious to see
go on.
is where we go with their new like mushroom farm, because they are the undertunnels where the Batcave is stationed.
That's what I was trying to work out. That's where he was.
So you've got that entire system of tunnels.
Mm,
The Batcave is within them tunnels
yeah,
somewhere.
but more towards
The
Wayne Manor.
center, yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah, because it was under his big
because
fucking
he
Gothic
was in the
tower.
tower.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I'm curious to see if that was just we've already made it aware that this system exists, and this system would be the perfect place for mushrooms to grow.
Mm.
Or if there is a little bit of, wouldn't it be really funny if the Penguin stumbles into the Batcave? Because it's been a long running joke that villains do occasionally find their way into the Batcave.
I mean, it would be funny if, like, in the next Batman film or something, it's like some younger, like, drug runner for the Penguin. They're using the tunnels to get
They
around.
take a wrong fucking turn.
Takes a wrong turn and just stumbles in, and then it's just the Batman's just there working or something. It's like, I'm just going to back out slowly.
Imagine how terrifying that would be. This man decimated crime. He's an urban myth, realistically, still to a lot of these people. You're running drugs in a tunnel. You take a wrong turn, and you come out where he has like a fucking rocket car, all these fucking weapons, and he just slowly turns and stares at you like that. That's a horror film. You film
Yeah.
that from the villain's point of view, and that is a legitimate horror film.
You could also, though, you could flip it of like if one of them stumbles across it and sort of like finds it secretly, takes that back to Penguin, and it's like, oh, we can now use this. But yeah, they're doing the mushroom setup in the tunnels is such a cool like flip that they've ended up back in Crown Point and using that. Now, Squid's got to come and bite them in the ass, right? The way that they had Squid there, and he was like, Vic was scared shitless of him and was hiding, but then like right as he goes inside, like this Squid guy clocks them.
I'm really curious what that's about.
It's got to be a setup. Either something in the sense of like he causes them an issue, Penguin maybe kills him, and that really locks Vic in as loyal. Or does Vic end up having to kill him? Or the Maronis and that and Sophia are like trying to find word of where they've gone, and he gets wind of it and sells them out.
What I think could be the case is they've set this person up as someone Vic is scared of to be a kind of canary in the coal mine for when Vic starts to become more like Penguin, and he is going to make Squid like a lieutenant, and Squid and his crew are going to be used to sell the drugs.
Ooh.
And it's like Vic's idea, and he goes from being scared of this guy to being this guy's boss to show that Vic is thinking more like a mobster who's just trying to make
because that's the
money.
point actually, because he mentions that Squid ran the drops, which would mean Penguin would be aware of somewhat.
I would assume so to an extent, but it might be a case of, I know there's a dude in that area, I don't care who it is.
Yeah, I do think their paths are going to cross. It's whether or not I'm wondering, either like you say, he's going to be brought in, and that kind of shows Vic going past that point, sort of point of no return,
Yeah.
or he's going to sell them out to Sophia because he thinks it's an easy. Everyone just wants a quick buck.
Did you see that Twitter greatly enjoyed the canonization of TikTok in Matt Reeves' Batman universe?
Wait, no, I didn't see that.
So obviously in the episode he uses TikTok to find the Maroni's son.
Yeah.
Twitter loved that Matt Reeves' universe has confirmed that TikTok
I didn't even
exists.
think of that. Because
The implications of TikTok being canon.
do you know what that is? It's because they're doing such a good job of this not feeling like your Gotham City, like it's just a mobster sort of TV show. I forget the idea of like TikTok being in Gotham and being canonized is like a wild thing.
So one thing that really did make me laugh is like, imagine there is currently a TikTok person, I don't know a lot about them, called the Rizzler. Imagine your entire city being destroyed by this madman who calls himself the Riddler and creates like a very harsh domestic terrorist attack on the city. And then you open TikTok and you see all these trends and memes about the Rizzler. Like the implications of TikTok in these like slightly more obscure worlds is always hilarious, especially because the way this show is written very much gives it more of like a mid-2000s vibe. And with the damage of the flood, you get a lot less technology because of course it wouldn't be as prevalent. There's been loads of damage, there's not as much money, technology isn't everywhere.
Yeah,
so you do kind of forget it's all there until he opens TikTok.
Yeah. Do you know what's going to be funny though? If they utilize that in the Batman 2 and it's like showing a bunch of TikToks where people are like, I saw him. I saw this guy in Gotham. He's beating up crime. And it becomes this
Batman
like...
would love TikTok as a
they're going to make Batman into a
surveillance
trend.
tool. He absolutely would, though. That is exactly. Imagine living in Gotham with TikTok and you're hearing all these stories about the Batman. Bearing in mind, it is canon for like the first year and a half, 2 years of Batman's crime fighting efforts. That he's an urban myth. He's not real. Yeah. So the first 2 years of like Batman stops crimes again, and no one believes he's a real person. The memes would be phenomenal.
Yeah, they really would. Going back to the episode, the doctor therapist going full in with Sophia.
Well, I think we're spot on. He's going to end up being Scarecrow.
Yeah, I think he's... Something's obviously going to happen to Sophia, I think.
I would assume so. I don't know how Sophia and Penguin can coexist.
Yeah, something has to come to head at the end of this. Which then, we know the mushroom thing somewhat has come from him.
At least partially.
But if Penguin gets it back up and running, there's nothing stopping him essentially buying some or like circulating in his own version into like the market. And people obviously in the market wouldn't know if it looks the same, but he's like tweaked the recipe so it's like more potent or something. And that's where that Scarecrow is coming from. I think that could be... I do think he is like going full evil doctor mode now.
Something is not quite right there. There is definitely something going on. Whether he is just like the guy who starts to discover this stuff and like the series ends with him like going to Jonathan Crane and they start working on it together. Or whether he is just straight up this universe's Scarecrow, I don't know. But very interesting to see how that subplot develops because it's not being discussed a lot online. I'm not seeing much about it, but that dude is fucking weird. The actor who plays him is a well-known actor, and don't get me wrong, I get a project of this caliber is going to have a fair few well-known actors anyway, but I'm just kind of like, you're like...
You're more than just a doctor.
Like blockbuster villain kind of famous, not... I'd like to be in a good TV show famous.
You're not just therapist becomes side man to Sophia. Yeah. It's very suspicious.
And selling that drug would give him so much access to tinkering with the drug. And if he weasels away into being in charge of that drug and like, oh, I can make a more potent, more powerful version, that's the perfect excuse for him to fuck around with trialing a scarier version. And how do I induce these hallucinations, which we already think has something to do with that red dot light that we saw in the previous episode. There's something's happening.
Yeah, there is. When they're like at the Falcone mansion and the police are all there and stuff, the kind of purposeful shot showing that the little girl was getting taken to an orphanage, do you think that is either they're trying to set some like potential setup in the future that this is someone who comes back, or do you think it was just more there just being like, look, the orphanage exists?
I don't know, to be honest. I think it was used to show that Sophia saved the girl, but what she actually saved her from.
Yeah, I just like I feel like everything has a purpose in these things, and I'm like, yes, there's obviously that to it, but I do wonder. Obviously last week I mentioned, is she going to be Poison Ivy because greenhouse and all this? I actually think now I'm thinking about it, unless they do big time skips to the second film, like this isn't going to be a long running universe.
No. If we're lucky, we'll get a trilogy with maybe a show in between each.
There's not really a chance that this kid gets to an age where they become a villain. I wonder if it's more, because I can't remember in the first film if it was shown about the orphanage, or if this is Matt Reeves kind of being like, look, the orphanage is there that everyone always comes from.
Yeah, I don't really know. It'll be interesting to see if that does lead anywhere. As you know, I'm very much in the camp of I want a Robin for the sequel. So maybe you're right. Maybe it's a case of going, there's an orphanage. They have orphans there. No, you know what orphans are really good at?
You know what Batman loves?
Robins.
He loves an orphan.
Batman loves making an 11-year-old orphan fight crime. It's his favourite thing to do. Phenomenal episode. I'm so excited to see the rest of this show. It is so good. I'm really, really curious to see where Oz's storyline finishes, where Vic's storylines finish, where Sophia's storyline finishes, and where Dr. Julian Rush's storyline finishes. That's the most interesting to me because there's so little, but I've convinced myself it's crucially important. So every time he's on screen, I'm watching him like, what are you doing? I got my eyes on you, boy.
I've just had a really kind of bad thought about what might be coming.
Oh no, go on.
We know that we're led to believe we're not going to like Penguin by the end of episode 8.
Uh-huh.
We know that he's starting to turn a more evil side. Who does Penguin care, or who does Oz care about the most?
His mother.
Who's he trusting in charge of his mum?
Vic. Yeah.
Now,
it's a real concern.
What if something happens to his mum and he full just blames Vic and turns on him?
Yeah. There is a not small amount of people online who are convinced that he's going to kill Vic.
I think something's going to happen to his mum, and Vic's going to get the blame, and Vic might not make it to the end of the series.
Yeah. Incredible show so far, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens next.